Watch how Saoirse Eastwood delivers a furious, no-holds-barred speech that leaves the Commons in stunned silence as she directly confronts Keir Starmer in one of the most emotionally charged debates yet. This isn't polished politics. This is raw frustration, echoing what many ordinary people are feeling across the country. When trust in leadership begins to slip, voices like this cut through the noise. You can feel the anger, the disbelief, and the demand for accountability rising with every word. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Britain Daily. It's completely free, and it helps us keep bringing you the hard-hitting stories that matter. Let's watch this explosive clip.
One thing that strikes me in all of this is that this is called the House of Commons. Our job is to come here and represent the common person. And it is so far removed from the common person, this entire debate. But we are dealing with a situation where the Prime Minister of the day is now saying that he regrets the appointment of Mandelson. And I'm not going to get into the whys and wherefores of DV and Strap and CTC and everything else, because my people in Lagan Valley don't know what that means. And a lot of people are banking on the ordinary man and woman on the street not to know what that means, and to stop being curious and to suspend their expectations, because this is all highfalutin serious stuff and we don't really know what that is. Maybe they did do right, maybe they didn't do right, because they're bamboozled. But I'm going to break it down for them. I would say this to the Prime Minister. What was it about the twice disgraced, paedophile adjacent, self-styled Prince of Darkness that you found so attractive to put into this plum job, not just of government, but of the United Kingdom on the world stage? What was it, Prime Minister, that appealed to you about Peter Mandelson? We still don't have the answer.
No.
We still don't have the answer.
No.
But all I know is that my constituents are disgusted with all of this.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the third time. It has been going round in a merry-go-round no matter who it is. And I am indignant, and I am outraged. And a lot of people in this building are expecting us to no longer be outraged. We'll be outraged. Because if we can't prove that this works, we know he's going to step into the shadows. We know he's going to be out there setting the algorithms. We know who is going to be preying on the carcass of what was a once great democracy, and we've seen other democracies fail. Let's not fool ourselves that the UK is immune from this. And the number one thing we can do within our gift is to show that we still value integrity. And for those reasons, there is not a single excuse that this government can come up with that I can sell to my constituents or myself that I will believe. And for those reasons, I believe that the Prime Minister needs to go, not just for his own party, but more importantly, for the sake of the country.
What you've just witnessed wasn't just another speech. It was a reflection of real anger, real frustration, and real disillusionment. When Saoirse Eastwood said, "I've had enough," it didn't feel like a political line. It felt personal. And that's why it resonates. Because for many people watching, this isn't just about one decision or one controversy. It's about a growing sense that those in power are disconnected from the reality ordinary people face every day.
Shadow Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and happy Easter. Family voting is just one example of unfair voting practices that seek to skew elections and exploit those isolated from wider British society. Another example of these divisive tactics was a disgraceful green leaflet in the Gorton and Denton by-election, written in Urdu, saying, and I quote, "Labour must be punished for Gaza, give the Muslims a voice, vote Green." If the Minister agrees that this is divisive language, will she back our amendment to allow only election literature in the short campaign printed only in an official British language?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to work through the representation of the People's Bill in committee, line by line through scrutiny. I look forward to continuing that work with him, and we will discuss that then. Thank you.
Meg Stevens.
Question number 7, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Dr. Alison Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. If we ignore the social media trolls and bots and ignore the self-interest of billionaire-owned right-wing press, the quiet, reasonable majority of people do not want a change of Prime Minister. As one lifelong Tory said to me yesterday, I see the Prime Minister is still here. That is a good thing. They are grateful that this Prime Minister, as a teacher I can out-talk you all, they are grateful, and despite the opposition's constant efforts, we will not let them manufacture more chaos, and I will kindly give way.
It's to the point that she's just made. Is she familiar with the YouGov poll that regularly asks the UK population how well they think Keir Starmer is doing as Prime Minister? And is she aware that the latest data shows that 70% of the UK population think he's doing badly?
We're glad he's here.
I thank the Honourable Lady for her intervention. I will say that polls can generate answers depending on how they form their questions, and I will say, if you look at other polls, if we like them, he is still a lot more popular than certain other members present in this House. I will give way.
I think the remaining people who want Starmer to remain Prime Minister are those people who are worried who the Labour Party may pick to have instead. But I wonder if the Honourable Lady would make a comment on, she seems to be saying all sorts of other whataboutery sort of information, but has she considered that actually this is not manufactured? This is a huge national security concern, that we had an ambassador who had access to security information at the highest level, who was a security risk to this country.
Yes.
I didn't quite pick up everything that she said, but I will come to the policy about the vetting and security in a second in my speech. I hope that might deliver an answer to her. The opposition is still addicted to chaos and game playing, seeking scraps of political capital where they can. I suggest they have flogged this issue as much as they can. They need to focus on rebuilding their dying party and apologise to the people. This Prime Minister and this government is focused on rebuilding this country, the country they broke and still won't apologise for.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Home Secretary for advance sight of her statement. During the inquiry, we heard evidence given by Radicobana's former head teacher, Joanne Hodson. She told the inquiry she was pressured by mental health services to water down the EHCP to minimise the danger posed by Radicobana because of his ethnicity. Miss Hodson told the inquiry this, and I quote verbatim, "My efforts to include this information in the EHCP were met with hostility by the father and also by mental health services. Miss Steed, who was from CAMS, even went as far as to accuse me of racially stereotyping AR as a black boy with a knife. Nothing could be further from the truth. But in the end, the wording of the EHCP was rewritten in many places." That's the end of her verbatim quote. Madam Deputy Speaker, this contributed to the clear risks being missed. The Nottingham inquiry into the 3 tragic murders there identified exactly the same issue. Mental health professionals in Nottingham decided not to section Valdo Calicone because they were concerned about, and again I quote verbatim, an over-representation of young black males in detention. And the government's own notes accompanying the King's speech on the mental health bill even refer to this issue as well. Madam Deputy Speaker, the fixation with ethnic disproportionality is deeply damaging. Ethnicity should never be a consideration when an agency is taking steps to protect the public. Everybody should simply be treated exactly the same. We cannot allow dangerous individuals to avoid detention for public safety simply because of their ethnicity. Everybody should be treated the same. I think it would be helpful if the Home Secretary makes clear from the dispatch box that she agrees with that approach and sets out how the government will change their approach in the future.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Let me just say on the issue of Mrs Hodson, the head teacher, whose specific testimony he referred to, she of course gave evidence, and I believe that the position that she took was vindicated very strongly by the Chair in the findings of the inquiry. And let me be absolutely clear, the only factors that should be taken into account are the potential risk posed by an individual and how best to manage that risk. No other factors are relevant.
And at the centre of it all is Keir Starmer, under mounting pressure to explain decisions that many simply cannot understand or accept. This moment cuts deeper than politics. It taps into something bigger, the fear that accountability is slipping, that standards are changing, and that trust is being tested like never before. When MPs speak like this, it's not just noise, it's a warning. A warning that people are watching, that they care, and that they expect better. If you want to stay informed and hear the moments that truly matter, make sure you're part of this growing conversation. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Britain Daily.